healthcare team, which is good to hear because healthcare providers need to know when we're doing helpful things. But we also need to hear the patient's perspective so that we don't become inured to the hardship illness imposes. This book would not be possible without help from various donors who wish to remain anonymous. I know who you are, and thank you very much. The book for sure would not be possible without Dr. John Graham Pohl and Dr. Dorothy Lander, who started a publishing business, Harp Publishing, in Anakinich. Rather than me explain what Harp Publishing is about, I will let John explain. Before inviting John to come forward, I want to mention Erin will be doing a reading from her book and will be available to sign a copy if you purchase one at $15. Erin is generously donating what she makes from her book sales to our Cancer Patient Care Fund. Thank you for this, Erin. Without further ado, here's Dr. John Graham Pohl.
Thank you, Tom. My goodness, such a beautiful, beautiful introduction to me. I'm just the interlude. We're going to get the real act here. And the family, my goodness, they're all gathered. It's perfect. By the way, this is the Highlanders, isn't it? I mean, the team? Oh, yes. I hope it is. It ought to be. Well, there's some wonderful there's some wonderful sections about Erin's first encounter with the Highlanders and the whole story. Right, that's just another of the stories within the story. So my name is John Graham Pohl. Dorothy Lander, my partner in business as well as in life. And well, I'll tell you that the 27th of May is a date I won't soon forget, because that I think is the right date when I first met Erin, Colleen, Gallivan, Richard, right. My gosh, what a pistol, I don't think I really stopped jumping around since, because I just went and introduced myself to the family and knew immediately that Erin had a very important story to tell, and I would love to help her tell it. I'm sure she's been telling stories all her life, but I mean real stories. So it happened in a whirlwind, because no sooner that I'd got back home, and I think the emails started flying, and back and forth we went, and had a wonderful, wonderful contribution from Joe, but Joseph to Erin, it seems, which she corrected me very early. No, Joseph. These were the things, you know. I got a lot of correcting, a lot of straight, and within, you know, I would send her an email and I'd get an answer back 10 minutes max. That was on a slow day. Anyway, I want to just say a little tiny bit here, because this is a lovely book. I know I had quite a bit to do with it, but this is a lovely book from a lovely woman telling a very painful but very beautiful story, really. I've been an oncologist all my life, but with even younger, which is a young thing here, but I work with little ones and adolescents and so forth. You know, there is something enormously fulfilling about that. People ask me, how can you work? And maybe they ask you, Tom, and others who work with people with cancer, how can you do that? Or it must be very hard. Well, it's enormously rewarding, and the love and the relationships that we make across the board. As Tom says, it's enormously important, though, for people who work on, if you will, as that phrase on the other side of the blanket. I don't like that phrase very much. It means it refers to the doctors and nurses, if you will, in stationary, standing up, and then there's the patient, if you will, who's usually lying down still. You know, it is true that for all the stories you can read about doctors and nurses and social workers, you know, the real story comes from the patient. Now, is this a patient? Well, I don't particularly like that phrase. This is a young woman who happens to have got herself all tied up with the cancer center in the last few months for reasons that I know that she didn't ask for, but she's turned a big negative into a very big positive. So I just want to say
Come here. Yeah, look at this small. So I try a lot. Oh, but I'm sorry. There's an act before yours. Oh God! Get up there, Brian. I'm sorry. You shouldn't succeed. You should precede. You didn't really mind. You better introduce yourself. Sorry, I'm sorry, Erin.
That's okay.
There you go. I have big shoes to fill, being her father, as does Marilyn, her mother. We are so incredibly proud of Erin, and the fact that it is true that there was a word that Dr. John mentioned, and the word is love. And love is at the core of Erin's life. She was taught that way as a child, grew up that way. Joey has filled her with love, her husband, and that just comes out. And when you look at turning a negative into a positive, you look at, sometimes storms come into our lives, and we wonder exactly how we're going to get through this. We get through it with our faith, we get through it with our family, we get through it with each other, and it's a group thing. And Erin has shown that, and there's no one in the world I am more proud of than our daughter Erin, so thank you.
Joey brings tissue.
Okay.
Sorry.
Just drawing attention to the book, Erin.
Let's go.
There you go.
Okay, I'd like to thank everybody for coming today. And I'd like to thank, first of all, my parents for all that they have done for me and helped me get to where I'm at in my life. And to my husband for helping me, encourage me to write this book. And also for Dr. John Graham, Paul, and Dorothy for publishing my book and believing in me and wanting to see me succeed. And for Tom McNeil, if it wasn't for him, there would be no book because he introduced me to Dr. Graham Paul at the Art of Medicine program. And from then on, we all clicked like one big family. Okay, so I'm going to read just a little bit about my book, and then afterwards I'm going to be signing the books, and everybody's going to get a business card that they can pass around to people, or they can buy the book later on here.
Erin's writing a book on sales after.
But all the money goes back to the cancer center. Okay. Okay, just chapter 1, my journey about my life, what happened, and how I coped. I am Erin Richard, who happened to get cancer. Cancer does not define me. It's just an unexpected journey in my life. A journey that has taught me something about what so many people have been going through. My journey started at the end of July 2016 when I felt a lump in my breast. As I didn't have a family doctor, and an aunt of mine had breast cancer, and another one had cervical cancer, my mother told me to go to the walk-in clinic in Sydney to get checked out. The doctor there examined me and was very concerned and sent me to the Well Women's Clinic where I had further examination and lots of tests. Chapter 2, the Cape Breton Cancer Center. You might think that the Cape Breton Cancer Center would be a dark, dreary place full of sad people. Well, it isn't like that at all. As a patient, you are always welcomed with a friendly greeting by the front desk staff from the moment you enter and each time you continue to come. While you are waiting for your appointment, you are greeted by the volunteers who offer you coffee, tea, juice, and snacks. And most of the people you meet in the waiting room are very friendly and are willing to sit down and chat with you. In the chemo room, where you receive your treatment if you're getting chemotherapy, the staff nurses are all very accommodating. They always offer you nice warm blankets and a drink, and they are ready with the knowledgeable answers to all your questions. And more rest of it's in the book. And okay, we'll give it over to Tom now.
Not so much more for me to say. I wouldn't mind, though, if Dr. John would give just a little brief overview of Park Publishing. I think people might be interested to know that.
Talking of cars,
Yeah.
we have a few too. But we Actually, I think that something we will do, I can say a word or two, of course, but it would also be good to hear from you. All 40, at least, of you. We'd love to hear, I'm sure Erin can handle a few questions, and you all can. Oh, I would hope that somebody might want to say something. I will just say that I've been married to Dorothy for 14 years, and 15 years, beg your pardon, last Friday.
It's okay, it happens to me all the time.
Oh gosh, well, I got it right last week. Anyway, but what I want to say is that Dorothy has a habit of waking up early in the morning. I don't know whether this happens to you. I suspect it might. And saying, "I got this idea." And I thought, "Oh my God!" Well, the idea a couple of years back was let's start a publishing house. We had several books we wanted to put out of our own, but then other people approached, and then the next thing is I find folks like Erin coming into our lives, and so we seem to be. I'm glad to say, really, we're publishing more other people's than our own. But I will say also that we are very much what we call a niche publishing house. That's sort of small, and we're trying to focus entirely on the arts, which is a great example, and health, of which I guess we are all, certainly right here, very, very healthy examples. And so the arts and the health are actually large themes, but we put them together and you find that there's a lot that bounce from one to the other. Arts, good for our health. If anybody doesn't know, and they're cost effective, as they say, in this expensive healthcare system that North America. Well, our books we brought a couple of copies.